All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jack Beck. He is my neighbor. He's my friend. He's a hell of a musician. He's known worldwide. We are all honored to be able to hear you play, Jack. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you,
Jack Beck.
I don't think I've got anything on this mic. Nothing coming. I don't think there's anything coming through this, is there?
It is. It's just not real loud.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, usually I spend longer introducing songs than actually singing them, but I'm going to try and avoid that tonight. Are you sure you can hear me okay through this? Because I'm not really hearing anything very much. Okay. So I'll try and cut back on that, but some of the songs I was singing have got a lot of Scots words in them that are not the same as English. Not even Appalachian English, although quite a lot of Scots words did actually end up over here. Oh,
That's what we want right there.
okay, very good, excellent. So some of the songs I'll just kind of give you a hint of what some of the words, the strange words mean before I sing the song. This first song doesn't actually, I don't think, have any of these strange words in it. This is the ancestor of many American songs. If you're familiar with a song called Come All Ye Fair and Tender Ladies, this is the ancestor of that song. It's also the ancestor of a blues called Careless Love. So this is the old song. And it's called Love Is Teasing. And that sounds like feet. Which is not part of the song, I should say. Oh, love is teasing, and love is pleasing, and love's a treasure when first it's new. For love grows older, and love grows colder, and fades away like the morning dew. There is a weaver sits in yon tree. Some say he's blind and he cannot see. Some say he's blind and he cannot see, just like my false true love to me. If I had known love before I courted, I never would have courted none. I'd have locked my heart in a box of golden and fastened it round with a silver pin. I wish, but I wish in vain. I wish I were a maid again. But a maid again I can never till apples grow on an orange tree. For love is teasing, and love is pleasing, and love's a treasure when first it's new. But as love grows colder, all love grows colder and fades away like the morning dew. Unaccompanied song. My wife Wendy doesn't like me singing this song, but she's not here, so she reckons it's very politically incorrect. But I've heard songs with the same theme all over America. There are at least two I've heard in Appalachia, close to here. And in the early 1960s, I attended a concert by Pete Seeger in Edinburgh, in Scotland, and he had just come back from Russia, and he sang a Russian version of this song. So, politically incorrect or not, I'm going to sing it. And there's a Scottish version that's called By the Bright Silvery Light of the Moon. Now each verse, that's the last line, so I want you all to join in. I'll be singing quite a few chorus songs, and I'll teach you the choruses as we go. So, one night at 10:30, coming down the Rothes Glen, I met a young maiden called Cahoon. And as she passed me by, Lord, she gave me the glad eye by the bright silvery light of the moon. That's your bit. She had robbed them, she had spent 6 months in jail. She had robbed the midnight mail. 'Twas another kind of a mail she'd be robbing soon. For when I asked her to be my wife, Lord, she nearly took my life by the silvery light of the moon. Now on the night that we were wed, she was first to go to bed. Oh, what a sight when I came in the room. There were her teeth and her golden hair, and her wooden leg on the chair by the bright silvery light of the moon. As I gazed on her spare parts, her face all covered in warts, I realised I'd been a silly loon, for I had married, don't you see, half a woman and half a tree by the bright silvery light of the moon. So all young men, take my advice, never court the same girl twice. But if you do, you'll be a silly loon. But if you must, then take a care. Make sure that she's all there by the bright silvery light, by the bright silvery light of the moon. Do not tell Wendy I sang that. What's next? All right, okay, so this is a song, it's a love song, really. It was written by a friend of mine in the early 1960s, a guy called John Watt, who wrote many fine songs, came from the same town as me, Dunfermline in Fife in Scotland. Now Fife is a county that has, at its east end, it's coming onto the North Sea. And so there's lots of fishing villages. And one of them is called Pittenweem, and another one is called Anstruther, and this is where I start explaining Scots words, because the local people don't call Anstruther, they call it Einster, and you're going to hear Einster mentioned in the song. The other thing is, the song is called Pittenweem Joe. Now this is not Joe, a guy, it's not J-O-E, it's just J-O, and it's a Scots word meaning true love, your loved one. Some of you might know a song by Robert Burns called John Anderson, My Joe John. It's the same word, Joe. It's a term of endearment. What else do I need to tell you? I think that's just about it. It's a love song between a fisherman, young fisherman, and his girlfriend, who is a fish gutter. She's gutting the herring down by the quay when they come in, and it's a hard job. And in fact, the fisher girls would follow the fleet all the way down from the north of Scotland to the south of England as the herring, went down the coast, and they would get the train and they would go from town to town, and they'd always be there when the boats came in, using very sharp knives and having to work very quickly, so they got lots of cuts on their fingers. And then once they'd gutted the herring, they were put into brine in barrels, so you can imagine with cuts on your fingers. Terrible stuff. Anyway, so this is a guy singing about Pittenweem Joe. Oh, there's one other word, spear. And in one of the verses, he spears at her. Now, that doesn't mean he sticks something into her. To spear is a Scots word meaning to ask, in a fairly insistent sort of way. So if I speared at you, I'd be asking you something quite insistently. It's got a chorus, you'll be pleased to know. You need to join in. Oh, a guy with a lass, free Pittenweem. She's a free fisher laddie's dream. She guts the herring down by the quay, and saves her kisses just for me. Oh, Pittenweem, Pittenweem. She's a free fisher laddie's dream. She guts the herring down by the quay, and saves her kisses just for me. It was the last July, it came to pass, I met this bonny fisher lass, wi' her eensy blue and black hair. I met her doon at Easter Fair. Oh, Pittenweem, Pittenweem. She's a free fisher laddie's dream. She guts the herring down by the quay, and saves her kisses just for me. Well, I said to her, could I take her hame? She says, oh fine, I ken your game, but nevertheless, you're awful kind. In fact, I really wouldn't mind. Oh, Pittenweem, Pittenweem. She's every fisher laddie's dream. She guts the herring down by the quay, and saves her kisses just for me. Well, I took her hame last Saturday night. The moon was shining, oh so bright, and as we lay upon the grass, I said, hey Joe, would you be my last? Oh, Pittenweem, Pittenweem. She's every fisher laddie's dream. She guts the herring down by the quay, and saves her kisses just for me. Well, she's my lass now, and fine I ken. She does now look at other men, for I was quick and they were slow. That's how I won my Pittenweem snow. Oh, Pittenweem, come on, Pittenweem. She's every fisher laddie's dream. She guts the herring down by the quay, and saves her kisses just for me. Oh, and I used to joke with John Watt, who wrote the song, because we sang together for the last 4 or 5 years before he packed it all in. He had developed arthritis in his hands and he couldn't play the guitar anymore, so he asked me to come and join with him, back him up on his songs, and we did a lot of touring around for a while. And whenever he sang that song, when it came to the last chorus, I would always do an extra chorus at the end and sing, Pittenweem, Pittenweem. She's every fisher laddie's dream. She kisses the hern down by the quay and saves their guts up just for me. Another unaccompanied song. So this one, this is about an imaginary train journey around Scotland. And whenever I sing this over here, the first time I came over here was in the 1980s, and I would tour up and down the East Coast doing concerts and festivals and things. And I would always end up staying with people. And wherever I stayed, it didn't matter where I was, 3 o'clock in the morning, the train, you know, and the train horns going, I'll waken you up. We don't get that in Scotland. There are very few freight trains in Scotland. They're mostly passenger trains. And I had this theory that there was maybe actually just one freight train in America, and it just followed me around, you know. And if it got there early, the guy would just sit and have a smoke and wait till 3 o'clock in the morning in order to, you know, do the thing. Anyway, but this is a passenger train, an imaginary trip around Scotland. Has a chorus, of course. And the chorus goes, remember this. I don't know the tune of this song. The trouble is that whatever the last song you sang, that's the tune that's in there. That's the tune that's in there. I'll just start the song and see if I can get it. Oh, I am a railway porter and my name is Willie Wee. I'm the most important fella you could ever hope to see. Right, I've got the tune now, so I can tell you a little bit more about the song. The song is about somebody who wears a uniform. This happens to be a railway porter. And anybody that wears a uniform and does not have a terribly important job obviously inflates their notion of how important they are. And this is a classic example. And the chorus goes, change for ochter, machter, killer, tuchter, grief for killer coats, fife for John O'Groats, Beecham spills or Quaker oats, change for Eccles Feckin. And I should explain, Eccles Feckin is not a Scottish swear word. It's actually the name of a town in the south of Scotland. Change for Eccles Feckin, Aberdeen, at all the stations in atween, unless you want to go to Tobermory. Tobermory is a town on the island of Mull, off the west coast of Scotland, and there's never been a rail line on Mull. So, there you go. Anyway, here we go. Oh, I am a railway porter, and my name is Willie Wee. I'm the most important fella you could ever hope to see. When the train draws at the station, you can hear me loud and clear. For my duty, it's to tell you, you have to change here, change for chorus. Ochter, muchter, killer, fife for John O'Groats, Beecham spills or Quaker oats. Change for Eccles Feckin, Aberdeen, and all the stations in atween. Unless you want to gang to Tobermory, you should see me wheel my barrow. You should see me sweep the stair. If there's no a tip forthcoming, you should hear me curse and swear. When the train draws in the station, you can hear me loud and clear. For my duty, what's my duty? My duty is to tell you, you have to change here. You change for Ochter, muchter, killer, tuchter, killer, goats, fife for John O'Groats, Beecham spills or Quaker oats. Change for Eccles Feckin, Aberdeen, and all the stations in atween, unless you want to gang to Tobermory. Well, yin day the royal train drew in, and my heart was full of pride, for I looked into the window, and what do you think I spied? 'Twas Queen Elizabeth hersel, and Phil was sitting by her side. So I yelled with all my might, you have to change here, you change for Ochter, muchter, killer, tuchter, grief for killer coat, shooby-dooby, fight for John O'Groats, Beecham spills or Quaker oats. change for Echo, Beck and Aberdeen, and all the stations in between, unless you want to gang to Tobermory. Okay, this is actually a children's song.
You got the right group.
Sorry?
Said you got the right group.
Ah, yeah, okay. Okay. There was a guy lived in the. Oops. What have I done with my comfort? Yes. There was a guy who lived in the very south of Scotland, near the English border, back in the late 1700s, early 1800s, and his name was Coulter. It's quite a common name in that part of the world. And he made candies, sweets, homemade, put them in a basket which he put on his head, and he went all around the towns, around about in the houses, knocking on the doors, selling the candies. Now candy is actually quite an unusual word in Scotland. We don't usually use that. I only know of 2 songs where the word comes in, and this is one of them. So that's basically it. There's 2 words I need to explain. One is greet. Now, to greet in Scotland is not to shake somebody by the hand and say hello, it's crying. You know, if you greet, you cry. So greeting is crying. And the other word you need to know is a bawbee. A bawbee was a small coin, probably the smallest coin. This is going back a long time. You know, it would be the equivalent of a cent nowadays, I guess. And you'll be glad to hear it as a chorus. But an easier one than the last one. Ali bally, bally bee, sitting on your mammy's knee, greeting for another bobby to buy some Coulter's candy. Ali bally bee, when you grow up, you're going to see packing pennies for your daddy and me to buy some Coulter's candy. Ali bally bee. Oops. Ali bally bee, sitting on your mammy's knee, greeting for another bobby to buy some Coulter's candy. Poor wee Jean, she's looking awful thin, just a wrinkle of bones all covered with skin. But now she's getting a wee double chin frae sucking Coulter's candy. Ali bally bee, on your mammy's knee, greeting for another bobby to buy some Coulter's candy. Here's old Coulter coming round, with a basket on his crown, selling candy through the tin, selling Coulter's candy. Ali bally bee, sitting on your mammy's knee, greeting for another bobby to buy some Coulter's candy again. Ali bally bee, sitting on your mammy's knee, greeting for another bobby to buy some Coulter's candy. Buy some Coulter's candy. I'll do one more, and this is one I usually always finish up with. That's an ancient Chinese tune called Tuning. Right, so the story behind this is really weird. It started out as a Sankey hymn, here in America. I went to Great Britain, to Scotland and England, warmed up in the hymn books there, and then travelled to the Bahamas, where it turned into obviously a descendant of the same song, but somewhat changed. And it was collected by an American folklorist called Jody Stecker, and then a couple of my friends who eventually became the Incredible String Band. Don't know if anybody's old enough to remember them. I knew two of them quite well, just before they went to Woodstock and became famous. But their second album that they produced has this song, the Bahamas version of it, in there. And then the next thing happened was that the Grateful Dead heard the Incredible String Band record, and they wound up finishing all their concerts with this Bahamas version of the song. And then finally, my wife Wendy, when I let her hear this, she said, "Oh, I know that song." And I thought, "How do you know that?" She said, "My grandmother used to sing this to me as a little lullaby." And she sang yet another version, her grandmother's version of the song, which is what I'm going to sing you now. Now it started off with what's called a lowering down hymn. It was sung at the graveside when people were being buried. And it wound up as a lullaby. Wendy's grandma sang to her to put her to sleep. So this is Wendy's Nana's. Come on, you people, come and take your rest. Lay your head upon your Saviour's breast. You know I love you, but Jesus loves you the best. And I bid you good night, good night, good night. Come all you mothers, come and take your rest. Lay your head upon your Saviour's breast. You know I love you, Jesus loves you the best. And I bid you good night, good night, good night. Come all you fathers, come take your rest. Lay your head upon your baby's breast. You know I love you, but Jesus loves you the best. And I bid you good night, good night, good night. Come all you children, come and take your rest. Lay your head upon your Saviour's breast. No, I love you, but Jesus loves you the best. And I bid you good night, good night, good night. You know it now, come on. Come all you people, come and take your rest. Lay your head upon your Saviour's breast. You know I love you, but Jesus loves you the best. And I bid you good night, good night, good night. And I bid you good night, good night, good night. And I bid you good night, good night, good night.
That is awesome, Jack. Thank you so much.